Love Island episode 27 starts with Anaya telling the girls about her conversation with Casey and how well it went. And he's telling the boys about how well it went. He was just glad to get that off his chest and he felt really bad. And he just feels good. A weight has been lifted and they're on good terms. He did say to her, and I remember thinking this. He said to her that he was holding resentment that she didn't even know about, and I knew that. I knew that he was mad that he didn't explore Soul, and he was mad that she wasn't touching on him and feeling on him, and I knew that's what I knew that. But anyway, when he said it, I was like, mm-hmm. The fact that Anaya and Trinity are trying to get Melanie to forgive Sincere is wild to me. I don't get that at all. And her being indecisive and saying she doesn't know what to do, it's like a devil on one shoulder, an angel on the other, whatever, which means she's going to take him back because there should be no doubt in her mind. Corbin talking about when they get out of there, he's going to get a tattoo of Parmita's name. Corbin, please. Caleb talking to Trinity and Zach about Jaden and how she's not affectionate and all this stuff, and then she's right over there and hears it, so she gets up and she tells him to come chat with her about it. I mean, these two, again, I keep forgetting they're there. And Kinsey was like, yeah, he does jump to conclusions like Exhibit A when he thought me and Corbin were kissing. Kinsey, not today. Okay. Not so soon after your whole package at movie night. So they start talking and say less, and she said that he's always talking about their connection, and she's like, well, how can we have a connection when we can't even have? I want to be in a connection. I don't want to talk about a connection, but she had a good point there, and they just kept bickering back and forth. It was weird because we don't know a lot about what's going on with them, and we haven't, and all of a sudden there's an argument. Melanie asked Corbin if she should sleep in the bed with Sincere because the girls were telling them that she should and just put a pillow between them. And she was like, I don't want to because it looks like I'm giving him another, I'm forgiving him, which go with your first instinct, Melanie. And then she asked Corbin, and Corbin's like, I can't tell you if you should or if you shouldn't. The girls asked Jaden what that whole thing was about with Caleb, and she said he just talking about the connection. And she's like, I can't just because he's scared of being hurt. He's not giving me enough, and he's scared of being hurt or whatever. See, Kinsey did that. The guys were asking Gaul if he they thought that Jen was into him or if she was going to try to make it work, and he said he doesn't think so. Yeah, no. Melanie was talking to the girls, Kada and Anaya, and she's look how happy she is because Anaya is wanting her to be with Kate Casey. She's Team Casey. How anybody could be, not Casey, Team Sincere, and how anybody could be Team Sincere at this point. But look how happy she is that they're. And she's like, "Why are you always Team Sincere?" So she gets in the bed with them, and they're joking. It's the next morning, and Gaul is making breakfast for Jen. And they were like, "Oh, that's sweet." He's like, "Well, I'm not gonna let her starve." And he said, "I'm making breakfast for Amora also." Carl was making breakfast for Anaya, and he made little flowers. Cute. Jen is talking about how she's not gonna force a connection to stay there, and Amora was saying the same thing. Carl's so cute. I'm starting to think Carl and Anaya are probably my favorite couple. Mainly Carl. Carl is getting them up there. Dylan was taking pictures um, with Kenzie's breakfast because he thought it looked good and he looked good. See, they play too much. Don't be playing with my food. Just bring it to me. Jen was bitching about Gaul, how he didn't, I guess he didn't put syrup on her pancakes. She's like, he didn't know how to do anything. All he knows how to do is make coffee. Anaya's being all Team Sincere again. Melanie was kind of mad because, not mad, but she was like, I'm going to make my own breakfast. And they were like, he's probably doing something, girl, stop. And she was like, I'm just going to make my own breakfast. And they were going back and forth. And she was like, I'm Team Sincere. And they were pretending they were arguing, but they weren't. And then he brought her breakfast, and they were like, "Oh!" And then, but before that, when she said she was Team Sincere, Kata said, "What about Melanie's feelings? Team Melanie's feelings?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm Team Melanie's feelings too. If you're not gonna mess with them, then don't mess with them." And so after he brought the breakfast, they were all like, "I'm Team Sincere." Even Kata. They have their talk, and of course, he's getting to her. So Kata was bragging about what Sincere did, and she's like, "I haven't had one date like that." And Jen was like, "Bitch, shut the fuck up," because she hasn't had anybody. But she did apologize for being a downer. Caleb gets a text saying that the boys will choose. There'll be a recoupling, which is kind of funny because Jen's been talking shit about Gall, and now he's gonna have to pick. So she goes to talk to him, and she was like, she wasn't trying to be romantic or anything, but she was just like, basically, I brought you in here. Can you keep me? But she didn't actually say that, but that's what it was giving. But he's kind of interested in Amora, so he was talking to her and trying to feel her out. Then he went to talk to Dylan, and Dylan about liking Amora, and he's like, he's not sure if she feels the same way, and Dylan was trying to big him up. And then he said, yeah, the worst that could happen is she'll say no, I'll get rejected, and I'll cry, and everybody will make fun of me. Is Gall funny? I missed that. And also, when he was talking to Amora trying to decide, she was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Jen be dogging you in the dressing room. So Gall's telling the guys that, and he's like, did she tell me? Why are you just now telling me this because you want to get picked? Why didn't you tell me before that Jen was dogging me? I mean, I can't blame Amora. Sincere in there talking to Casey Thompson. Yeah, I was messing up back in the day or back then or something. And Casey said it was last week. I was like, yeah, what? Here Zach is giving advice all the time. Sick of his opinion. Ariana shows up. You know what that means. So they're all gathered at the fire pit, and the boys are getting ready to choose. Of course, Carl picks Anaya. This was cute. He said, "We're a couple." Finally. So everyone picks who we figure they're going to pick. And now they're down to the last two, with Gall picking Jen or Amora. He picks Amora, which I'm not surprised. Jen was pissed. And I feel like this was supposed to be real impactful, but not really because I don't know. I figured this was going to happen. And we didn't really care about Gall, did we? So if it had been somebody else, it would have been different. So Ariana says this isn't it. This isn't the only dumping. 4 other islanders will be dumped from the island. And Jen was like, selfishly, I'm glad I'm not going home alone. And again, don't we kind of know who's going to go with her? They say their goodbyes to Jen. And Melanie's like, I know someone's going to be out there who is so perfect for you. You too, Melanie. You too. Ariana's back, and she tells them they each have to pick 2 couples they want to dump. So they have these little hearts they have to put in these little towers that are next to them. And Gall was like, I don't want to do that to someone. Gall, they're all going to do it to you. So first couple to go is Trinity and Bryce. Or well, they're not the first to go, but they're discussing what they're going to do because she let all the couples discuss what they're going to do. And Bryce Trinity goes, Kata and Zach, and he was like, yeah, they gotta go. And then Gall, they're discussing who, and they said, what about Corbin and Parmita? And what's her name? Amora says, yeah, I think they work together. And Gall goes, they're so freaky for each other. And Amora goes, it's kind of gross. Zach and Kata also joke about kicking Trinity and Bryce out. Look at I just like how Carl is with Amaya. Look at him; he has his hands all on her. It's just so sweet. Carl's a sweet guy. So the first to go is Carl and Anaya. They pick Amora and Gall, which no surprise, and Jaden and Caleb. Although Carl, well, he made a comment about Kenzie, and he was saying that not Kenzie, but he was saying that Melanie and I thought he was gonna pick Melanie and Sincere, but of course, Anaya probably wouldn't let that happen. But Carl was right. He made a point. He said, all the yelling and crying and screaming. First they're good, then she's screaming, then they're good, and so yeah, like we all think. Bryce and Trinity are next. They pick Gall and Amora, and they picked Jaden and Caleb, and then it was Caleb and Jaden's turn to pick. They pick Amora and Gall, and Kenzie and Dylan. Kenzie and Dylan pick Gall and Amora, and Corbin and Parmita. And Kenzie said they're lustful, and all he talks about is himself. And when he looks at her, he only sees himself. And I don't know about that, Kenzie. I mean, it